At 78 years old, Emmylou Harris stands as one of the most enduring and respected voices in American music, her life and career intertwined with the rise of folk, country, and Americana. And while her name has occasionally been mentioned, alongside John Denver's, it is important to place both artists in context to understand what they meant to their audiences and why rumors and clickbait about supposed confessions or late revelations continue to circulate decades later, often distorting the truth in favor of sensational storytelling. Harris, born in 1947 in Birmingham, Alabama, and raised in a military family that moved frequently, grew up with a deep curiosity for literature and performance, eventually channeling her passion into folk music during the 1960s, finding her first footing in the Washington, D.C. scene before being propelled into prominence through her collaboration with Gram Parsons, whose untimely death left her devastated yet determined to carry forward his vision of blending country and rock. And from that moment onward, she became a guiding light for roots music, crafting albums like Pieces of the Sky, Elite Hotel, and Luxury Liner that cemented her reputation as a genre-defying interpreter and songwriter, always drawn to the balance of tradition and innovation. Meanwhile, John Denver, born Henry John Deutschendorf Jr. in 1943, was carving out his own path, moving from the Chad Mitchell Trio into solo stardom with songs that celebrated nature, simplicity, and emotional sincerity, including classics such as Take Me Home Country Roads, Annie's Song, and Rocky Mountain High, all of which captured not only the optimism of the 1970s, but also the yearning for authenticity and connection that defined so much of that era. And while Harris and Denver moved in overlapping circles, both contributing to the popularization of country-tinged folk and both drawing heavily on storytelling traditions, their careers remained largely parallel rather than directly collaborative, though their names were often linked because they stood as counterpoints to the commercialization of Nashville, offering audiences heartfelt alternatives. Harris, with her crystalline soprano and sharp interpretive instincts, carried the mantle of Gram Parsons' cosmic American music, while Denver, with his open-hearted charm and broad mainstream appeal, embodied a different but equally powerful vision of American roots. And yet, despite these clear artistic trajectories, the modern internet landscape has taken to weaving speculative tales that often place Harris in imagined dialogues about Denver, the most prominent being the claim that, at 78, Emmylou Harris finally speaks up about John Denver, a headline designed less to convey truth than to attract clicks. For in reality, Harris has never issued any kind of explosive revelation about Denver. Her actual comments over the years have been measured, respectful, and rare, reflecting a musician who focuses on her own work and the collaborators with whom she shared profound bonds, particularly Gram Parsons, Rodney Crowell, Dolly Parton, and Linda Ronstadt. To understand why such rumors persist, one must consider the power of nostalgia and myth-making in music culture, as fans long for hidden stories, untold romances, or secret rivalries, projecting narratives onto artists who, in truth, were simply professionals navigating the demands of recording, touring, and personal life. And Denver, who died tragically in a 1997 plane crash, left behind a legacy that invites speculation because his image was so firmly rooted in ideals of innocence, natural beauty, and love, making him an irresistible subject for retrospective storytelling, while Harris, still alive and performing, represents continuity with that era. So when tabloids or viral sites claim she has finally spoken up, they are exploiting the contrast between a living witness to that period and a departed icon. Yet, examining Harris's actual career trajectory reveals that she does not trade in gossip or sensationalism, but in artistry and advocacy. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, she experimented with genre, collaborated across musical borders, and eventually reinvented herself with the 1995 album Wrecking Ball, produced by Daniel Lanois, which marked a daring departure into atmospheric, almost ethereal soundscapes that reinvigorated her career and won her a new generation of admirers, while Denver in the same period struggled somewhat with the shifting tides of popular taste. His music sometimes dismissed as overly sentimental by critics, even as his live shows continued to draw large, enthusiastic audiences, for he remained beloved by fans who cherished his sincerity. Both artists, however, shared commitments to causes larger than themselves, Harris dedicating much of her later career to animal welfare, landmine awareness, and humanitarian projects, and Denver advocating for environmentalism, space exploration, and global harmony. So in many ways, they were kindred spirits in their devotion to music as a vehicle for something beyond commercial success. And it is precisely this moral resonance that makes them enduring figures, Harris embodying the survivors. Grace Denver the martyr's flame. When one surveys interviews and biographies, the connections between them are far less sensational than rumor mills suggest. Harris occasionally performed Denver's songs in tribute settings, acknowledging his songwriting gifts, and Denver admired Harris's artistry as part of the broader movement of country rock and folk revivalists who carved out space in the 1970s for heartfelt music to compete with the flashier pop charts. But there is no evidence of hidden affairs, dramatic feuds, or confessions deferred for decades, and yet such myths persist because audiences hunger for unfinished stories.
Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon.